Okay, this little lecture is going to be over chapters 18 and 19. Now, we've already talked about some different types of measurement in the past chapters, but in this chapter, what it wants to go into is talking about measurement, length, volume, weight, and temperature. All of those are part of measurement because all of those different attributes can be measured. Remember, we're going to remind you about formal, or what we call standard measurement, and informal. Standard measurement is using your rulers, and informal is using anything that you want to use. Now, we also have to go back and remind ourselves about play, and as children play, that brings us back to Piaget stages. In this part of the chapter, it talks about the sensory motor, pre-operational, transitional to concrete, and the different stages that go along with those. With your sensory motor, this is ages 0 to 7. Now, the sensory motor is usually with our infants and toddlers. Then the pre-operational stage usually starts around 3 to 7 years of age. And during that time, that's when children in their measurement stages, they play and they imitate. They'll pick up measuring devices and they pretend to use them even though they don't know what they mean. They will play with them and mimic the behaviors of their parents or the people around them with those instruments. They also will make comparisons. They'll act like they're measuring things. They'll compare different, they have learned, this is bigger, this is smaller. If this was a ruler, then I could say it's bigger than, my cup is bigger than the ruler, or my measuring device is smaller than the cup. They can see it and they can do that. They just might not know what each notch along the measuring device means. And so then you move on to the transitional part, going from pre-operational to concrete. And this is when they start using the arbitrary units of measurement. This is when they start kindergarten on up, when they start using the different devices of the measurement, the rulers, the measuring tapes, tape measures, and things like that. And then they move on from ages 6 on, or 6, 7, right through there, and they start using those and start talking about inches, millimeters, how the weight of something, the volume of something, and using those different characteristics. So be aware of those Piaget stages and how they correlate. It's in figure 18.1 in my book, and it looks like this right here. Okay? That's where that's found. Moving on to chapter 19, talking about the measurement of time. Remember, that's also a measurement attribute. In this chapter, it talks about, like I talked about to y'all earlier, the sequence of time, the sequencing of events. Children know about when they're picked up and when they're dropped off, the sequence of that. They also know about duration, how long they usually do something. If story time usually it lasts about 5 minutes, they know when you go over, they start getting fidgety, they start getting wiggly because they're not involved, that they know it's time for something else. Or, so if it rains, they know they're not going to be going outside. They know the duration of time they're going to be inside is going to be longer because it's rained that day. Now, there's different kinds of time it talks about in your book. Personal experiences and social activities are part of our culture. With our personal experiences, that's what we bring to the classroom, what the children bring in, talking about the time that they spend at home. And then we have social activities, and that's another different type of time. It's easy for them to learn about those because they live within the routines of what they're doing. And then we have cultural time. That's fixed by clocks and calendars, events that we go and attend. Also, holidays are part of that. So that's some different pieces of language talking about time. Now, we also have general words, specific words, and relational words. General words are talking about time and age. They know they are 3 years old, or when they're turning 4 years old. They know they have to be at school at 8 o'clock because I hear someone say we have to be at school at 8 o'clock, and they can mimic that, they can say that. Specific words such as morning, afternoon, evening, dinner, night, day, noon, they understand those words. Relational words they sometimes have a hard time with. Soon, in a little bit, tomorrow, yesterday, early, late, a long time ago, once upon a time. those words that sometimes don't mean a lot to them because those are more abstract words, where our children need more concepts that they need to touch and feel. And that's what brings me back to the different modes of learning. We have visual learning, we have auditory learning, and we have tactile learning. Now, there's another word I've not used with y'all when it comes to tactile learning. There's another word called haptic. Haptic is also hands-on. That's just a different version using your hands, sensory experiences. The others remember that's a new word I wanted to bring out during this chapter. We also have duration words when we talk about the days of the week. And sometimes kids don't understand those. I know a lot of times preschool teachers want to use a calendar in the classroom and go over the calendar every morning, spend like 20 minutes on the calendar. That's not always appropriate for the kids in our classrooms. And then we have special days on our calendars. We have Martin Luther King Day, we have Christmas, we have Easter, we have all these different holidays that we have. Sometimes we have holidays on our school calendar, and then we have holidays of the kids that are in the classroom that may be celebrating other cultural holidays such as Kwanzaa. If you're going to bring in other holidays into the classroom, you need to make sure that you involve all of the children in the class and the holidays that they express, unless there's not a need to do that, unless they don't want to celebrate those other holidays. Now, if they bring it up, yes, you can talk about it. In this chapter, there's a lot of different activities about time that you can talk to the children about, and those are the main things I want you to understand, is the relation of time and the words and phrases that mean something to the children and the words and phrases that don't mean anything to them. And sometimes we use words and phrases that are not appropriate for the kids because they lack an understanding of it, because it's words that we understand but they're abstract. We need to make sure that we don't use those abstract words a lot because it confuses the kids, and they'll nod and they'll listen and they'll go on what they're doing, but they really don't understand what's going on. So, if you have any questions over time, just let me know. That's it for those two chapters.